Let's talk about intermittent fasting. I had mentioned it in my video on what is the perfect diet or what is the best diet. I mentioned it as a fad diet, and I know that a lot of people would disagree with it being called a fad diet, and the reason being that it is, of all the fad diets out there, usually fad diets are really restrictive and hard to follow long term. I would say intermittent is not one of those. It's not hard to follow long term. It is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. The reason I called it a fad diet is because it's just really popular right now, and I just see these waves of popularity, and so you get a lot of people doing it at one time and then you stop hearing about it. And so for me, that categorizes it as a fad, although I do understand that it can also be a lifestyle. So I'll just talk a little bit about intermittent fasting. It's something that I have done some research on and find pretty interesting. And I think the reason I find it so interesting is because when I started my career, skipping meals supposedly messed up your metabolism. And so people were discouraged from skipping meals. And intermittent fasting, in a sense, is skipping either the first meal of the day or the last meal of the day, because basically what you're trying to create is a long-term, like within a 24-hour day, you're trying to create a long period of time of fasting and then a shorter period of time where you're eating. So it may be a 12-hour fast going from 10 o'clock at night to 10 in the morning, or for most people, it's going to be a longer fast going like at maybe 6 o'clock at night and then not eating again till 10 the next morning, or some people may even wait till noon the next day. But you know, it's just delaying the amount of time that you're allowed to eat. And so when that started coming about, what was, you know, at first, when I first started my career, doing something like that would have been a metabolic nightmare. Like, you're stopping your metabolism. Why would you do that? But the research has shown, and this is why it's fun for me, because it's just seeing that we were wrong, and we proved ourselves wrong through looking at the evidence, through looking at the research, and being unbiased about it and letting the research tell us what's the truth. And the truth is that skipping meals does not affect your metabolism. And so since we've learned that, intermittent fasting then has kind of emerged as a popular method of losing weight. And it's taken a while to catch on, because truly it has been around for at least half my career as something that is legitimized by research. But it's just been catching on in the last couple of years. But it doesn't slow the metabolism, and so it is an effective way to restrict calories. And I know for me, I mean, I wouldn't describe myself as an intermittent faster, but I am one who weighs myself regularly, and I know if my weight's kind of creeping up, one of the easiest things for me to do to get that back down, and I've got a long list of things that I'll do, it's like, depends on how desperate I get, but one of those things is I'll just stop eating earlier at night. So in different seasons dictate when I eat at night, because we're busy late at night during basketball season. My husband's a coach, and maybe during the summer we're not quite as busy, so I can cut off my eating earlier. But basically I know when that cutoff is, and so I cut off my eating at night. And I do that because I am a breakfast eater, and for me, I can be more guilt-free about eating during the day, and then when I get to that evening time, it's like, okay, I've had enough, I need to stop. And so for me, it's just a method of controlling my weight from time to time, and it is something that I just pull in when I feel like I need to. It's not something I practice all the time. Now, I do know of others that are not naturally breakfast eaters, and so being intentional with that is the key, because the research does show that people who skip breakfast tend to weigh more than people who eat breakfast. And so you've got that set of research, but then you also have the research of intermittent fasting doesn't affect your metabolism, and it is a method of controlling one's weight. And so I think the distinguishing factor is intentionality. And so it's being intentional. When you are an intermittent faster, you are doing it intentionally. If you are just a breakfast skipper, the problem with skipping breakfast is that usually people that skip breakfast end up eating more at night. They end up doing more of the snacking at 10 o'clock at night, or going through the drive-through at 10 o'clock at night, things like that. And so getting their calories on the back end, and negligent calories on the front end. But intermittent fasting absolutely is effective and it works. So there you go.